In other words, what we're saying is the state does not have an official church, not like King Henry VIII, etc. Why is that important? Let's talk about why that's important. Why is that important? Nobody can figure out why it's important. Why is that important? Tell me why it's important. Gabe, you looked up. Why is that important?
It's important because without the funding from the taxes, some churches can't remain open.
Okay, yeah, it could lead to some churches closing. What else? What's another reason why that's important? No tax money for churches. Why do you think that's important? Think Roger Williams up in New Hampshire. What are we talking about? Separation of what and what? Go ahead. Separation of church and state. And what's interesting about this whole thing is Jefferson's the one that actually wrote it, a very religious man. He was a Baptist. Should there be tax support for churches? What do you think? Should your money, your tax money, go to support churches? Hayden, what do you think? Why not?
Because there's more important things that we
Okay. What would be another concern there? Branson. Okay. Kristen, what were you going to say? Okay. Anything to add, Harner?
No.
Sometimes that gets very controversial. You don't have a state-supported church. Have you ever heard discussions about a Christmas tree in a public library, which is government property? Sometimes that gets very controversial. Should communities and boroughs put up Christmas decorations? Sometimes you hear that argument too. Last year there was one in the mountain down by Harrisburg, going up over Peters Mountain. There was a big Christmas tree on that, and that's public utilities, electricity. Should you put a Christmas tree there? Well, Tegan, don't just sit there. Straighten this mess out. Should you or shouldn't you? Do it. What?
Probably not.
Probably not. Well, what if Cooper says that doesn't offend me and I want it up there?
Then he could pay for it.
Oh, he's a taxpayer. Why not use his tax money for it? Ava, straighten this up. Go ahead. Tell us what to do. Don't pass the buck. Make a decision. Grandpa's a longtime borough council member. It's in the blood. Tell us. What are we going to do? Grandpa's decision? Is that what you're saying? All right, Emily, let's hear it. What are we going to do? Now, I've never seen you shy and afraid to say something. Let's hear it.
I don't know. I actually don't.
Another area where this sometimes gets controversial is using tax money for private schools, Christian schools, Catholic schools, which we're definitely familiar with. Should that money go to pay for textbooks, etc.? Something to think about. So I just want you to think about that. Okay. So what was denied to churches? Bottom line, tax money. Okay. And I want you to understand this is more than just Jefferson writing a Virginia statute. Make sure you have somewhere on there it led to separation of church and state. Okay. Led to separation of church and state. All right. So let's take a look at the screen up here and let's read a little bit more that Thomas Jefferson wrote as governor of Virginia. Okay. Go ahead and hit the lights there. Let's read through this. Hayden, please.
The Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom is a statement about both freedom and
Conscience.
And the principle of separation of church and state, written by Thomas Jefferson and passed by the Virginia General Assembly on January 16, 1786. Its forerunner of the First Amendment protections for religious freedom. divided into 3 paragraphs. Statute is rooted in Jefferson's philosophy. It could be passed in Virginia because dissenting
Yep, which means groups.
groups, they're particularly Baptists,
Presbyterians.
Presbyterians, and Methodists,
Yep.
had petitioned strongly during the preceding decade for religious liberty, including separation.
Virginia statute for religious freedom. And make sure you understand also one other thing. It definitely was a driving force to the First Amendment. Put that down somewhere real big too. Separation of church and state, First Amendment. You want to think both of those. Okay, you can turn the lights back on. Back to the handout there. We're still on 149, coming down a little bit beyond halfway. The ideals of equality for women, equality and women, applied mainly to who? Who's got an answer? What do you got?
White men.
Yes, mostly for white men. However, we see that starting to change. So women's status improved. Starts to, anyway. What were some rights gained by women after the revolution? Nobody has it. Who's got it? Tegan, go.
They can more easily get a divorce and they have greater access to education.
Make sure you have that. More easy to get divorced. I didn't say easy. More easy, or easier, I should say. And certainly education. Yes. Okay, map in the upper left corner. Let's go to that. What state was the first to abolish slavery? Good. Massachusetts. I realize you might have had Pennsylvania there. It's actually Massachusetts and Maine, which are together, but a close second is Pennsylvania, okay? What did many leaders realize did not fit in with the new language of liberty and equality? Go ahead. Yeah, slavery in general. Yeah, and your book says enslaved people. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the years. About 1777. By no means am I going to test you on each of these years, but I want you to see the gradual abolition of slavery. What do we got for 1777? Beck, what do you got? Yep, Vermont. And you had something else to add? Okay, good. 1780, go ahead. Beck, you're on fire. Go ahead.
Pennsylvania freed all children born enslaved when they reached age
Yep.
28.
Make sure you have 28 there. 1784, keep going.
Rhode Island declares that enslaved men born when they are free when they reach age 21.
And women at 18. And how about 1799?
New York freed enslaved men born a year or when they reach age 20.
And women at 24. I'm going to ask you to add one more year to this. It should be on there. Okay, maybe over in the margin or down at the bottom. Put this down. 1808. 1808. And what I want you to know for 1808 is when the international slave trade ended. The international slave trade. Now take notice, I didn't say slavery, but the international slave trade ended. And the belief was that what would happen is eventually slavery would die out in this country. Think that through. No more slaves coming from Africa. So the only slaves were those that were born here. With freedom, when they reached certain ages, many thought slavery would die out. Well, let me ask you this question. Is that what happened? No. In fact, in the United States, slavery increased when cotton was grown by huge quantities in the South. Okay. How did some discrimination take place after the Revolution in the North? Who's got that one? How did some discrimination take place? Kristen, what do you got?
Northern whites made it difficult for African Americans to get stable jobs.
Okay, yes, in labor areas, jobs, yes, etc. Okay, the next one's very important. What was the name of the first independent African African American denomination. What do we got there? Make sure you have this. Go ahead.
African Methodist.
Episcopal, yes. And make sure you have AME. African Methodist Episcopal Church. Okay, and we'll get to this question. All right, let's do this. Let's take 10 minutes. Go to your Liberty film, okay, that we started watching yesterday. Over on page 11. Okay. Go to page 11. Let's go over a couple of answers here. The quick review at the top. Does anybody have what year did the Revolutionary War end? Go ahead. 1783, yes. What was the law of the land? Don't say Constitution. What was the law of the land? Good. Good. The Articles of Confederation. Articles of Confederation. What were some problems with the Articles? That's a civics question. What's the problem with it? Why did they scrap it and replace it with the Constitution? You've heard this story before. Give me an idea. Why did they scrap it? Gabe.
No national court system.
Yeah, no president. Yeah, no checks and balances. The bottom line is it was a weak government. It was a weak system. We'll talk about that. Look at the next question there. The power to tax, to raise armies, to make treaties was not with the Continental Congress. It was with the what? Nobody has that. Anybody have it? Good. With the states. Yeah, make sure you have that for the Articles. The states had all the power. Okay? All right, go ahead to the link there. All right, continue watching where you left off. Now, at the end of the period, make sure you write down the time you're at, okay, so you know where to go back to. Okay, go ahead and watch through.